The Tree Planting by Dr. T.B. Roth, published in the Endymion in 1911. On the morning of November 10th, after chapel service, conformable to established usage, it was announced that the regular exercises of the day were set aside. What is to be done was doubtless the thought which occupied the mind of every student present. The suspense, however, was not grievous or long, for the next moment was read a score or two of names, and their possessors invited to present themselves forthwith in the campus with spades and shovels and mattocks and picks, and whatever else might be needful in the trimming, arranging, and planting of a number of trees. That the work might be carried on systematically, the laborers were divided into committees. The work progressed from morning until almost night, rendering the campus a scene of unbroken activity. The trees, over 100 in number, are maple, hard and soft. They stand in 2 rows 13 feet apart. 30 feet is the distance between the trees and the rows, and the rows extend eastward from Jamestown Road to College Grove. The space between the rows is variously designated as Luther Avenue, Brother Martin's Walk, etc. After the trees were planted, at request of the students, Professor Roth delivered in the chapel a vigorous address upon Luther's preparation for the Reformation work. Thus ended the 392nd anniversary of the birth of that hero of the cross, whose name we must ever hold in honor and sacred veneration. As the trees, planted in commemoration of his birth and noble acts, in rolling years, strike their roots deeper and deeper into the earth for sustenance and strength, so may the principles which he toiled to establish take deeper hold upon the affections of those who aspire to be his followers. As the trees bud and bloom and mature and cast their foliage of 1,000 hues back upon the bosom of Mother Earth, may all be kept in remembrance of the changing scenes of life, its sunshine and its shadows, its eventful duration and the reality of its close. As summer succeeds spring, and bleak winter presses upon fruitful autumn, so youth follows childhood, and hard upon the heels of strong manhood presses old age, waiting to reduce to earth, whence it sprung, the frail tenement of mortality. As the trees, by means of the rain and sunshine of heaven, send out their boughs farther and higher, and their branches thicker and stronger, and their trunks firmer and steadier, so through the agencies now at work, through the knowledge of the truth and the Word of God, may the grand old church of the Reformation grow firmer and stronger, ever doing battle for the true, the beautiful, the right, and the good. And in time to come, when the trees planted to the honor of Luther's good deeds shall have sprung up and interlaced and interwoven their sturdy branches over Brother Martin's Walk, may the affections of those who planted them be so entwined and interwoven with the pleasing associations of school days, that with each successive anniversary, as willing worshippers, they may return to view with delight the fruits of their labors, and as hoary pilgrims, do homage at the shrines of their alma mater.
I came to Teal several times when I was a senior in high school to visit a good friend of mine at the Sig House, John Thigpen, and became friends with a lot of the Delta Sigma Phi. And as we came to camp for football freshman year, 4 of the freshman players who had been here for 3 days and I were walking on Brother Martin's walkway. And here come 2 of the Delta Sigma Phi brothers who just happened to be captains of the football team, Pat Fire and Ron Elwood. And I said to the other freshmen, "Hey, that's the captain of the team, Pat Fire and Ron Elwood." And they're like, "Well, how do you know that? You know, you're a freshman like us." And they walked up, Pat and Ron walked up, and they're like, "Frank, how you doing?" They're hugging me. And everybody else in the group just kind of stood there like. So I became the boss man. And that's my favorite Brother Martin story. Pat made me a legend the first day of school.
Fall of 1968, I asked Susan to go for a walk with me. We sat on a bench, we talked. At that point in time, I knew that Susan was for me. I said we were joined at the hip. In 1971, we graduated. 2 months later, we were married. We have now been married almost 53 years. We have enjoyed our wonderful time at Teal, all of our friends.
So we both graduated from Teal in 2019. We met our senior year of college, and Brother Martin's Walk was always very special to us. We took that walk about every day, walking together to class. We always would talk about the legend of Brother Martin's Walk and how if you walked the whole walk holding hands that you were destined to get married someday. So when we got married in 2022, we actually got married at Teal College. and we walked Brother Martin's Walk together after our first look right before our ceremony. And then after our wedding ceremony, we walked it again, just the two of us, as our first walk as husband and wife. So it's very important to us. And
made sure we held hands the whole way.
We always stop by anytime we're in the area.
I started dating my now husband, Mark. It was the winter of my junior year. And we talked, we started dating, we talked about all kinds of things, and he asked about the school. And I remember mentioning when we were walking through campus one day about Brother Martin's Walk, and at least the legend that I had heard, that if you walked hand in hand with the person you loved down Brother Martin's Walk and you kissed at the end, then you were destined to be together forever. And I promptly forgot that I told him that story. And then months later, it was the beginning of senior year. I was back on campus to do Charlie Brown Goes to College, so I was back early and he was visiting. It was a nice enough night, it's August. We were holding hands and I didn't really think much of anything. And we get under the teal arch and suddenly he got down on one knee and he proposed, which was amazing and I did not see coming.
I lived in Livingston as a freshman, and I remember Pledge Day.
And I lived in Livingston too, and I remember that. I wasn't even in your pledge class, but nobody has to know
That's
that.
okay.
We walked up as pledges, and we walked up
For
as
Sig
pledges.
Cap, we got to
For
put
Sig
that in
Cap,
there.
as Sig- for
Yeah.
Sigma Kappa.
So we're three
Not good.
sisters from the
Not
class of
good.
71.
Well, just put 3 sisters from the class of 71.
But I do remember picking up a Little Bunch of Violets, because it's one of our songs, Little Bunch of Violets, that we sang as pledges.
Yeah.
As pledges.
That's interesting.
So we're connected to it.
Interesting.
It's the right time of year. There were violets out in spring.
How does that song go?
Little bunch of violets, so something and so true. I picked them, dear, for you.
Being the college archivist, tradition is very important to me. So when I decided that I was going to ask Nancy to marry me, I arranged for us to walk up Brother Martin's Walk and kiss under the last tree, which, as any teal person knows, means that you're officially engaged. And that's when I asked her to marry me.
And it was the happiest day of my life.